Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Today I'm going to show you how you can reapply your DWR, which is durable water repellent coatings, to any of your waterproof, water resistant clothing that may have lost that DWR over the course of time. Or you can apply a DWR coating to something like this Anorak, which was never designed to be even water resistant, and turn it into a water resistant piece of your kit. I also have a couple other tricks up my sleeve to share with you on how you can protect yourself from wet weather conditions when you're out in the woods enjoying your woods time. This is a tip that was given to me from someone that made a comment to my multicam smock video that I produced quite a while ago now. And this individual was in the Royal Marines, and he told me that he also treated the hood and the shoulders, any of the areas that get direct rain, with a DWR. However, he said that another thing that they do is that they wear their soft shell or their rain gear underneath the smock. Now, what this does is, let's say I've got my Anorak and it's very thin, and let's just say for the sake of saying so, it's not been treated with a DWR, and it's just a garment. It could be a field jacket, it could be a shirt, it could be whatever, but you're putting that on over top of your soft shell. Now what's going to happen is, if you're in driving rain, you're in a torrential downpour, and the force of those individual raindrops, which are coming down hard, normally your soft shell is going to soak through. It's, it can't withstand that amount of force with that moisture being forced through the fibers of the fabric. And so it's receiving all that direct impact. If you were to wear another garment over top of it, like a smock, what's going to happen is that garment on the exterior is going to create a shock absorber and actually, block that force from hitting your soft shell. Of course, the outer garment is going to soak through. However, it is not going to soak through the soft shell or your rain gear that can't take that direct force. There's going to be a moisture barrier between the soft shell and the outer garment. And that was the first person that had told me about that, and several other people, including individuals that were in the United States military, told me the same type of story and gave me the same tip. So this is something that I'm actually going to be looking into the future when I'm going to be exposed to harsh weather conditions like rain. And that right there is, to me, just another trick to add to my bushcrafting bag of tricks to expand my survivability in the forest in inclement weather. Now, in order to do this little project, you're going to need to have your garment that you are going to treat with a DWR. Now, let's just say, for the sake of saying so, like me, you may have a waterproof or water resistant garment that has lost the DWR treatment. DWR, durable water repellent treatment. And you need to have that. The garment needs to be cleaned. So before you do anything else, make certain that you launder the garment. If it's something that's supposed to be like a rain jacket and may have a coating on the interior that isn't really conducive to high heats, make certain that you launder it in cold water and that you dry it, either line dry it, or you put it in your clothes dryer at a low temperature. That way you're not going to further exacerbate the issue with the lack of water repellency. I'm going to be using my Anorak that, you know, I have treated this in the past, and that treatment is still okay. And but you know, it's been about a year since I've done this, and I'm just going to retreat it to make certain that that DWR is going to be doing its thing as the cooler months go on. This is a garment that I wear 3 months out of the year. I wear it quite a bit. This is pretty much my go-to outer garment. Even if I'm wearing an insulated layer underneath of it, I pretty much prefer this. I have great maneuverability in this. It's spacious and it's comfortable, and it does everything that I need an outer garment to do through definitely 3 months out of the year. It's a little warm for summer, so I don't use it that much in the summer, but you're going to need that garment. Then you are going to decide what type of waterproof or water resistant treatment that you're going to apply to this. There are all kinds of companies out there that sell waterproofing, and there's tons of them. I like the Kiwi products. This particular one is the Kiwi Boot Waterproof. This one is the Kiwi Camp Dry. The waterproof is for things that you want to waterproof treat that you don't need them to be breathable. This is not designed for any product that you want to retreat that was originally designed to be breathable, like gore-tex. However, this is fantastic for leather boots or any type of waterproof boot that, you know, you don't care if it's going to be breathable or not. This will be what you want to use for that. The Camp Dry is designed specifically for breathable types of waterproof, water-resistant garments like gore-tex. And to be able to use that breathable waterproof treatment on my Anorak is going to work out really well. That means that when I take this off at the end of a hike and I've perspired, there's moisture in the interior, that is going to breathe and will dry over time. Of course, it's not going to dry as quickly as it would if it had not been treated, but you have to make a trade-off when you're doing this kind of thing. Now, when you have your garment, you want to make sure that you have laundered this. You don't want any type of dirt, dust, any type of debris on it from outings in the woods. And even if you're retreating a garment that was supposed to be waterproof or water resistant, you're going to want to launder that too. If it's any type of garment like a poncho or anything like that, that has a coating on the interior that doesn't really stand up well to high temperatures, make certain that you launder that on a cold water temperature, and either use your clothes dryer on a very low setting or hang dry the clothes until they're completely dry. Once they're completely clean and completely dry, then you're ready to go ahead and put this process to work. Now, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the cautions that you want to take when you are treating or retreating your waterproof, water-resistant clothing with any kind of DWR treatment. You want to do this in a very, very well ventilated area. I'm going to be doing it outside, which is usually where I do that. Normally, when I do this stuff at home, I have a carport area that's behind my garage. It's wide open all the way around. I have roof covering to protect me from the sun if it's hot, or protect me from the rain if it's raining. But I'm able to have that area to where any type of breeze can pass through and carry away any of the harmful vapors that are going to be in every single form of a DWR treatment spray that you would be using. The other thing is that this stuff is highly flammable. Of all of the information on the back of the label, hopefully that's coming in to focus, if you notice, The majority of the precautionary and the measures you need to take and the caution and dangers are associated to the high degree of flammability that you're using this in. And I personally can't think of any conditions in which I'm going to be utilizing something like this around any type of an open flame, but apparently somebody did, because they wouldn't have put it on there if, you know, someone didn't do it. I don't even want to think about the idiotic behavior that may have occurred for them to have to put this degree of labeling on here about the flammability. So make certain that you are using this in a very well ventilated area. The breeze is picking up here. So if you're using this outdoors and there is a breeze going, you need to make certain that you are going to stay on the opposite direction of where the wind is blowing, so that this stuff doesn't come back in, get in your eyes, you breathe it in. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's ouchy, it's painful, it's yuck. So make sure you're using your noodle and you're staying upwind from any of the vapors that's going to be coming out while you're applying this DWR treatment spray. Now, in order to do this, you're going to have an area that you can lay your garment out all the way. Even if you have an area that's at least, you know, a foot wider than the widest section of the garment, that will work, because you can always adjust each portion that you're going to be treating as you go and just maneuver it. Even with my bushcraft workstation here, I'm going to need to be transitioning this from top to middle to bottom as I go, in order to be able to apply the DWR treatment to this evenly. You're going to want to start off, and it doesn't matter where you start off as long as you remember where you start, and you can, you know, progress from there. We can very easily start at the bottom, and with this I can go ahead and have a little bit of overhang, as long as it's going to hang without any folds or creases. We don't want any of the creases to affect the spraying technique. And so I can go from the bottom all the way up to the top to where it's good and flat. And I'm going to go ahead and re-maneuver the camera so you can see me apply this first coat. Now, when I treated this originally I actually wound up using 3 cans of this Camp Dry. And since this has been treated, and I mean, it's still okay. I mean, it's not as good as what it was, but it's still pretty water repellent. I am only going to go over the garment once with this. Now, originally, I went over every single thing that I'm going to treat twice, and then I hit areas like the hood and the shoulders inside and out a third time. And that just was a little bit of reassurance for me that this is going to be fairly water repellent and it's going to last a while. But once you have your area set up to where you can pull this out to where it's good and flat, and you have your Camp Dry or any other DWR you're going to be applying for it, it's time to get started. Now, you definitely want to shake this stuff up as you're using it. Shake it up really good before you start using it, and as you're going along, occasionally put the lid back on it, shake it up again. The reason you want to put the lid back on it, because some of the liquid will actually be caught down in this ring. It'll be on the spray nozzle, and if you're shaking that without putting the lid on, those droplets could wind up getting your eyes or something like this. A lot of folks may want to wear safety glasses or a respirator of some type if you're doing this, And me being outside, I'm not really all that concerned about it. And but there's just a couple little safety tips if you want to do this and stay as safe as you possibly can. We're going to go ahead and start off. I'm going to go at the bottom, and I'm just going to go a steady spray back and forth over the entire area. And I'm getting up by the chest now. Then I'm going to stop. This stuff dries remarkably quickly. And when you put it in direct sunlight, once you have sprayed an area, it's going to dry within minutes. The solvents that are in this evaporate very, very quickly. Again, another reason why you want to do this either outdoors or in a very well ventilated area. If you have an area that's set up for like a spray booth or something like that, you have that in your garage, you may do auto body work, things like that, you have the exhaust in place, yeah, you can do it in there. But if not, definitely do this stuff outside. Now, this right here, it's already dry to the touch, and this is not in direct sunlight. Now, the one thing I'm going to do before I flip it over and do the next part, or shift it over and do the next part, is I'm going to give one more coat on the areas that have stitching. This stitching goes all the way through, and any area that has a seam, I'm going to go over that area one extra time. And I'm going to do that on the other seams as well. These are the seams for the sleeves. This is the seam that goes across the chest. And this is the other seam for the shoulder of the seam of the sleeve. And the area to the neck area of the anorak. And I'm going to let that dry. As that's drying, I'm going to maneuver this over to one side and stretch out the sleeve as flat as I possibly can. And I'm going to hit that sleeve. Again, continuous spray, back and forth, layering over. Give it a couple minutes to dry. Once it's dry to the touch, then you go back over and you hit the seams. While that's drying, I'm going to maneuver this over here, slide this over, and I'm going to treat the other sleeve. Again, try to get it as flat as you possibly can. Again, going to let this dry for just a moment. I'm going to touch up the seams, and then we're going to go from there. I'm going to go ahead and set this up after this is dry and after I spray the other seams, and show you how I like to do the hood area. Now, when I'm treating the hood, I'll usually put something like a ball or like a milk jug, something like that on the inside of the hood to put it in a position that it would be when it's being worn. I'm also going to be treating this soft shell jacket today, and retreating it, I should say. And I'm just going to use that as the form for the hood. And when I have everything in place, I want that hood to be in its full capacity to be able to make it easier for me to apply the camp dry over the entire surface. Depending on what the breeze is like, that's going to determine how far away you are from it. If it picks up a little bit, I have to put a little bit closer, about 6 to 8 inches. And if the breeze is calm, I can pull it all the way out to about 12 inches with no problem whatsoever. And I do this exactly like I did the first surface area, and that is you get all of the flat spots, let it dry for just a moment, and then you spray back over where any of the seams may happen to be. The hood's been taken care of and it's completely dry now, and this is the back area. I'm going to do the same thing. Now again, when I originally treated this, I did everything I'm doing now twice. And I also did the interior, which I'll show you that here in a minute. I did the interior once. But once I get this done, I'll show you the next step I do in order to really make certain that those impact points, which are the shoulders and the hood, just to get those done a little better. The other sleeve. Let those dry, and then we'll reinforce the spray on the seams. And then I'm going to show you how I reinforce the DWR on the hood and shoulders. Okay, that is dry. Now I am going to reconfigure my Anorak so that the top seams of the shoulders are running right through here. I'm going to collapse in my hood just a little bit, so I have a good flat area here that is the shoulder. And again, I want that to be as flat as I can possibly make it. And I'm just going to put one more coating on just the shoulder and the hood area. And the hood will be treated exactly like I did it before. It's just, you know, gets a double coat. And I'm getting down on to the top part of my shoulder, which is right through here. So that is going to be doubly reinforced with the DWR. And I'm going to do the other side. It's as soon as this dries. That coating is dried, so now I am going to turn the garment inside out. And I am going to treat the inside of the shoulders and the hood exactly the way I did the exterior. And this is the only treatment I'm doing on the interior, which would be the inside of the hood and the inside of the shoulders, the top part of the sleeve. This is actually the shoulder seam goes across. I'll drop back down probably about 6 to 8 inches onto the upper part of the arm. And at that point, that will be it for the retreatment. Let that dry, and I'll do the other side. And like I said before, I did everything I'm doing now, I did twice when I originally treated it. And it lasted for a very good long time. And again, it was still water repellent, but it's been over a year since I did this. So I just want to double check and make sure that it is going to be as water repellent as it possibly can be for the upcoming fall, winter, and spring. While my Anorak is drying, I want to talk to you a little bit about the odor, and I want to talk to you a little bit about curing. Now, once you have applied all of this and it is completely dry, it's going to take about 24 hours for that to really cure. So you're going to want to hang that up out in the garage, and that will do two things. It's going to allow all that silicone to cure that's in the spray fix, that's in the DWR that I applied, And it's also going to allow all of those vapors to escape and go away forever. Within 24 hours from doing this, this garment is basically going to be odorless, not in comparison to how it was when you sprayed it, because it's going to stink to high heaven, but it truly will no longer have an odor. So if you want to do something like this, if you're a bow hunter and you are very, very conscious as to odors and smells that may attract the game's attention and scare them off, within 24 hours, this will be odorless. So it's something you could possibly consider for your hunting apparel. Also, if you are an avid outdoorsman, and especially if you're into bow hunting and other types of hunting when the ticks are still really active, you can apply a good generous coating of permethrin on your garment that you have treated with a DWR as well, and it will not harm any of the waterproofing or the water resistant treatment. So, and again, permethrin within a 24-hour period, it is also odorless. So you have protection from the elements and you have protection from the dreaded tick. The Anorak is dry to the touch and it still needs to cure for 24 hours, but I'm not going to be able to wait that long, so we're just going to go ahead and test the water repellency right now without it being fully cured. So I'm going to do this exactly the way I did with my former video, is I'm going to go ahead and see how well. See that? Look at that. Look at that. It's awesome. It's awesome. And shake that off of there. And this is every bit as water repellent as my soft shell clothing that I had was. A couple little tiny spots soaked through just a tiny little bit, but again, it's not completely cured yet. So all of this area here worked very, very well, and you saw how the water just rolls off of it. Again, this entire treatment is not to make it waterproof. It's designed to make it water resistant. If by any chance you do want to get more of a waterproofness with no breathability whatsoever, I would use the boot waterproof on these areas. And even if you were to treat the body and most of the sleeves with the Camp Dry, which is the breathable DWR, and then treat the shoulders and the hood, upper part of your arms with the boot waterproofing. That way those areas would be waterproof, or as waterproof as you can get, and the rest of it would still be quite breathable. Well folks, I wanted to remind you that applying a DWR treatment to your clothing isn't the only thing you use them for. Like if you have a favorite backpack, you use it for years, and over time you notice that it's starting to allow saturation of moisture into the fabric. You very easily could use something like the boot waterproof to treat your backpacks with, or other nylon equipment that you don't necessarily need to be breathable. This stuff would do a pretty good job to help retreat that. And you'd use exactly the same process to treat your backpacks that I showed you to treat my Anorak today. And again, after 24 hours, it's going to be completely cured and completely odorless. Well folks, hopefully this is just a little hack that you can throw into your bushcraft bag of tricks to make your time in the wild just a little bit more enjoyable, especially when it comes time for that unexpected wet weather. Well folks, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.